Hey there, Gemini. Welcome to your March bonus reading. We are going to jump right in here. You have this unicorn card. It says divine purity, rarity, and sovereignty. You have this prairie dog. It says cheerfulness, industry, and gracious. Yes, you are going to be very busy coming up here, Gemini. So I think a lot of you are going to be like busy little prairie dogs, not beavers, but probably focused on creating a lot, doing a lot. You even start with the Magician here, the first card. The first card is how you are entering into this reading since we're doing a Celtic cross. So the Magician, is you probably focusing on creating something new. Sometimes I look at the Magician as needing to have a new beginning. He is card number 1. We have the Fool, which is card number 0, but sometimes I think the Fool gets to the Magician and he just is looking at his tools in front of him, which I'll show you in just a second. And so sometimes I feel like the card is like saying like, okay, it's now you really have to get started. And I kind of feel that for you, Gemini, where it's like, okay, now is like the real start, of something, or now is like the real beginning of something. He would also be pointing down there to this, like this direction towards the 8 of Swords. So if you have been hesitating on something, again, part of me, this is not a good answer, Gemini, I understand that, but part of me just wants to say stop. Stop hesitating. It's almost like the 8 of Swords that he is pointing to is just saying you could just get started right now, on whatever you're thinking about. So again, I know that's not helpful, but whatever ideas you have, I would just get started because clearly there's no point in delaying the start. The Magician, also very important for Gemini this year because the Magician is about reinvention. He perfectly matches the energy of the thing that he wants in his life. He has this snake right here, and the snake represents reinvention. And it basically says if there's something you want or something you want to become that you don't have, you just have to become it before you can have it. And you just have to embrace the energy. I think the easiest thing to do with the Magician is to change your habits, right? So it's like if you want money and you don't have money, change your money habits. If you want to be healthy, then, change your health habits. If you want love, change your love habits, right? Or develop love habits. Start loving yourself. That's a good one to start with, Gemini. But it's probably the easiest thing to do. It is that simple with the Magician. And again, I think we're in a time that is actually very simple. But I think people are saying to themselves, it can't be that simple, but it is. So we all should be thinking much more efficiently right now. We should be. That doesn't mean we are. I know. And again, trust me, I'm far from perfect, Gemini. I overcomplicate everything. So I need to listen to this message as well. But again, I think we just have to think efficient, and that will lead to good things. You have the 3 of Wands as your crossing energy. And again, sometimes I think the 3 of Wands crossing says that we are playing too small. It's like if you, the example I would give here is if you were trying to get a job, for example, right now, maybe you should go for something that's actually like harder, or maybe you should go for something that you're like slightly not qualified for. Because sometimes I feel this is saying like, no, the universe is saying, no, I want you to have more expansive opportunities in your life, but you have to play bigger. It's like, and I've worked with people in business as well, where I can see how they, like when they work on a project, they put the effort in and nothing happens. So they think, oh, I need to back up and do less, or I need to start from the beginning and start over. But it's like, actually, maybe not. Maybe you need, the reason something isn't progressing is because you have to put like more into it, or you have to make it bigger, and the universe doesn't want you to play small. And that's kind of like the energy I get. Now, as I said that, I had deja vu. Like I feel like I said that to you recently, Gemini, about playing too small. And so maybe the problem isn't that you're maybe it's not saying like don't back up. It's saying play bigger, or make bigger moves at this time because you can. And this is kind of more motivational. It's like a motivational reading. It wants you to be motivated. I think it wants you to do those things. You have the 6 of Swords. 6 of Swords is moving on to calmer shores. This is coming up in the area of what's on your mind. So you are definitely focused on improvements. Again, next month when Uranus moves into your sign in April, I do think you are going to be like an improvement machine. I think that for Gemini, it's like optimization and leverage are going to be 2 key words for you for years to come. And so you're probably going to find better ways to optimize things in your life, make them smoother, make them faster, more efficient. I also think part of that is discovering leverage. Like, you could be discovering ways to have a bigger impact in all areas of your life that you want to, by pulling bigger levers or using leverage in some way. Again, I don't know what all of you do, so I can't really give any good examples, but I would just be, that's what I would be focusing on. Again, I don't know. I need to think about this more, and I need to do a video on it, because it's like I feel like I'm going somewhere with it, but I feel like all of you think I'm crazy. So I I don't know what to say about that part, but it's like everything I do, I can look at it, and I know that there are a few principles for like everything that really make the difference, that really create success. It's like even on YouTube, for example, after, I've been on YouTube for over 12 years now. And it's like, most YouTubers think thumbnail, for example, right? I think title based off of experience. It's like, to me, the titles are leverage. And, it's like, what is that for you in all areas of your life? It's like, what are the few simple principles that you could double down on that really make the difference? And that's what I would be thinking about with the Six of Swords. I even think about this in like love, for example. It's like everybody says like, oh, communication in love. I'm like, okay, like, yeah, we talk all day long. You're a Gemini, I'm a Gemini moon, we're motor mouths. It's like obvious, and people talk at each other all day long. They get into arguments, they get into fights. So it's not communication, because both people will be talking. It's like maybe what the core principle of relationships is like actually listening to the other side, putting yourself in their shoes, right? And so it's like, can you double down on those core principles? That's really what is popping into my head with this card. You have the Chariot in your foundation, which is amazing. Charging forward towards success. A lot of you are absolutely going to be putting yourself in new places. He's leaving the city behind him behind. He's leaving the familiar to go find something better that he is in alignment with. As I've said to you before, the opposite of your sign is Sag. So, with Uranus in your sign, I think, even though it's not in Sagittarius, doesn't matter. It's the opposite of you. I think that you are going to be kind of like changing your environment. You could be moving, but as I've said before as well, you don't like have to move physically. You can change your environment by, cleaning it up. You could be moving things around, rearranging things. Like, I think all that type of energy would be helpful for you. Also, if there are like distractions in your environment, removing those distractions could lead to bigger victories. And that's really how I would be thinking about the Chariot for you. A Gemini is like, what distractions or what things can I do to make my environment smoother, and so that I can have more victories, right? Next, in your past position, you have this Metamorphosis card. It says, your inner self is being renewed day by day, so new and better ways can come forth, which is kind of like the Magician, changing so that you can align with an energy. You have this Virgo card. It says, details, details. It says, you need to look at something more closely. What you need to know lies in the details. We just had that Virgo eclipse on March 3rd, and eclipse energy can last for like 6 months. So I do think it is an amazing time to focus on details. I think we have to do it in balance, of course. Like, I wouldn't just be super zoomed in on the details of whatever it is that you're working on, but, kind of like understanding how things work and getting those details would be good. You have the Queen of Pentacles. Queen of Pentacles is resourcefulness and being resourceful with your finances. I think you're done being resourceful. I mean that in a good way. I'm not saying that Gemini is going to be out here wasting money all over the place, but I think this is more like creating FU money, as the kids say nowadays, right? Where you don't have to always be like checking your bank account if you want to go out, or something like that. I feel like that is kind of like part of the world that Gemini is going to want to explore, is like true freedom. It could be financial with the Queen of Pentacles, but it could be any type of resource as well. It could be time. I do think that is a big thing for Gemini, like focusing on how to have more time for yourself or to do the things that you want to do. So, all changes that you could be making over like for years to come could have to be about your resources. And again, it could be like time, effort, attention, energy, money, love, whatever it is that you have to spend, right? Or that you have to give out. I think you're going to be looking for ways to either get a better bang for your buck, so to speak, or you are going to be eliminating things probably that cost a lot and give you nothing back. And, this has been a big theme for you. I think that really probably for you is partially Neptune and Pisces. Neptune's not in Pisces anymore, but Neptune was in Pisces, and it kind of dissolves the material. But for you, Gemini, I think it's a little bit different, because I think it's about like having time, having energy to do the things that you care about. So that's pretty good. Next, in the area of the very near future, you have this card. It says it's time to release negativity. You have this new moon in Sag. It says luck is on your side. So yes, it is kind of like a lucky time for you. I said this to you at the beginning of the year. I'm pretty sure, Gemini, that if I were you, I would be doing things to create luck. Again, I don't think that it's like, oh, you're just going to like win the lottery or something like that. It's not that type of luck. It's more swinging the bat more, right? It's more taking more chances is like where your luck is actually going to come from. And, you're going to have to, it's like at the beginning of this, you're probably not going to have a lot of home runs. But the luckier you feel, the more luck you will create. And the more luck you create, the more luck you'll create. So you have to, kind of create that energy of luck by, doing things that, challenge you, or would, if you were to like win or stand out in a competition, like at work or business or something. It's like you might not win every time, but like once you start stacking those wins, you're going to feel more and more lucky. And so I would be doing things where you can win. You have the Three of Cups. Three of Cups is celebration, happiness. It can be a reunion as well. These three ladies are celebrating this harvest that's going on around them. And I do feel there are a lot of harvests. Again, we're entering into a world built for Gemini. When Uranus moves in there, again, we have Pluto and Aquarius, which is going to benefit you a little bit more. There's so many good things happening, especially this year, but, for the foreseeable future. Again, I think that, I'm not saying the world is going to be perfect, but I think your world could be perfect, or the environment is right, or you are changing your environment with that Chariot to put yourself in a position where you can have more harvests. So again, I think we need Gemini thinking moving forward, because Gemini is third place solutions, and I believe third place solutions are going to save the world. So it's like everybody thinks this or that to every single problem, but Geminis usually have like some sort of unique approach. And I feel it's time for you to be celebrated for your unique approaches, right, to everything in life. So that means you're probably going to have to like speak up more, share your ideas more. If you share your ideas, people aren't going to like them in the first place. I would skip this step right here, and I would jump right to the middle finger, right? And I would say that it's time to be an inspiration. So don't even worry about sharing your ideas. Any idea you have, just think to yourself, I just have to prove it, right? The more you prove it, which, yeah, I know that proving things isn't like the greatest energy, but it is a good energy, because the more you kind of like prove that what you think is right, the more people are going to come to your side. The more people that follow you, the better. Again, we have all this like great momentum, positive snowball energy, as I like to call it, where again, like one thing builds on another, and the more you get that spinning forward, the better. So I really want to encourage you here, Gemini, to share. Just share by doing, right? Next, in the area of your outcome, what do you know? You have this communicate card, and you have this focus card. Like I said, I think the whole communication relationship thing is mostly BS, because it's like both people will talk, but they're, even in good relationships and bad relationships, both people are saying something. But is anyone listening? I don't know. But could be a very, I've said it to you before, that it's like a motor mouth year for you, Gemini, which I think is good in the first place. Again, people are going to be listening, especially after, proving that you're right a couple of times. I think people are really going to listen. I think it's a great time to have a focus for you, Gemini. You are definitely one of my signs that I think should like have a motto, or have just a guiding light, like a North Star, a goal type of thing. Like I've said to you before, maybe your motto this year should be to stick out like a sore thumb. I think that's a good one for Gemini, like not being afraid of being different, not being afraid of, sticking out for your unique approaches to things. All that is going to be really good. You have the Eight of Swords coming up in the area of the next few months. Again, it's almost like you could skip this or you don't need to do this type of thing. I would just get started. I know it's not a good answer, Gemini, like I already said, but I think you're thinking about something you want to change in your life or a transformation that you want to go through with that magician or reinvention. And I feel like the Eight of Swords is saying, well, it's like you could just do it right now. It's like you don't have to, we've been talking about the environment going on here with this Chariot card. Kind of reminds me of my favorite book, The War of Art, by Stephen Pressfield. And in that book, he says, when we're closest to our goal, that's usually where we meet the most resistance. Or he also says, the reason that we say we can't do things is exactly probably why we should, right? And so that's kind of the energy I get off the Eight of Swords. You might be thinking like, oh, I'll start that business when my kids go to college. I think he uses that example in the book. And he says, like, sure, you could wait, or your kids could benefit from that right now if you started right now. Trust me, I have waited for so many things in my life, right? And there was never a point to waiting, because I waited to a certain point. When I got to that point, I would start waiting for something else, right? And that's usually what happens. So I just had to stop making excuses and do it. And that's kind of what I feel here. Next, in the area of your closest relationships, you have the Two of Wands. You've been having really good love readings with me for sure. And you have the Page of Cups here as well. So if you want love, this represents all relationships. But if you do want love, I think putting yourself out there, he has to leave his comfort zone to find something he wants. I think it would be a good year for that. Again, I also think it would be the rest for the next many years. It would be great for you to kind of find your tribe or find people who kind of align with your ideas. Again, I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but it is possible. So I would, get out there. Again, I really think you're one of the signs, especially with that Three of Cups, where, to use the old cliche, you are the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? And so I think focusing on relationships with people who live the life that you want to live, or who kind of align with your ideas, would be a good thing for you to try to do with the Two of Wands. You have the Page of Cups in the area of your future feelings, which is great. Definitely could be love coming in for you here if you want it. Hopefully a person that listens based off of what we said at the beginning. And, but the Page of Cups is an admirer, so I do, and you've been getting love like crazy. Out of all the signs, I think you have been getting it the most. So it could be a good time for love, even though it's a Mercury retrograde. People always remind me, and I always say, okay, whatever, don't care. I would still go on a date during a retrograde, who cares, right? You have the Knight of Swords as your outcome. Again, I feel pretty good about this. On one hand, definitely with Uranus and Gemini, it's going to be hard to slow things down, but I would slow things down a little bit. I do think if you're rushing past things or whatever, that's where you could get into trouble, right? Especially if you remember back to when you were a kid, when, I was the type of kid where I would take a test, I would try to breeze right through it, right? And I would always get in trouble for reading questions wrong, right? I would just read it, quickly skim it, and I wasn't really paying attention. And that's when I would get the answer wrong because I misread it, right? And that's kind of what's popping into my head with this Knight of Swords. It's not bad. I think you are going to be charging forward. You have the Chariot. We are in a quick movement year because of all the fire energy, but I think things that are important might be good to just double check your work, right? Double check the questions and read them again. We're going to clarify this now here, Gemini. With the Three of Wands and the Magician, you have the Fool. So definitely newbie. Didn't I say that? I said something about the Fool because he's card number 0. That's what I was saying. Card number 0, the Magician. It's I don't always feel this, but sometimes I think the Fool gets to the Magician and he's kind of he started to take a leap of faith, but he's pausing at the Magician for whatever reason. Again, I can't explain it, but I feel that here where it's saying just take the leap of faith. Don't overthink something. It's almost I tell people all the time, it's tarot is not set in stone. The next few months haven't happened yet. So the Eight of Swords can be a card of being stuck, but you don't have to be stuck. The whole point of watching tarot is to avoid these things like this. This is why I do advice readings, right? Where I tell you what to do or what you could do. You don't have to do anything. You can do whatever you want. But what I would say here is there's clearly like an idea or an energy that you could match up with the Magician that you could just like have right now. And I feel like it's saying do it. With the Six of Swords, you have the Nine of Swords. Again, pretty good because Nine of Swords is a never-ending nightmare. Like Six of Swords is a good solution to this card. He's in pain, but he's not in enough pain to make a change. So the whole point of the Nine of Swords is to get out of a never-ending nightmare. And a lot of you could be thinking about walking away from something that is a nightmare, and I would. With the Chariot, you have the Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, we were talking about this with the Queen of Pentacles. You know, this is my card that says, is the juice worth the squeeze? He's looking at these Seven Pentacles, and he's saying, is it worth it for me to work on these Seven Pentacles or not? And so I think that is a big question. You know, the Queen of Pentacles is showing up in the energy of what you are moving past. So it's not like you have to spend a ton of time doing this, but I do feel, you know, looking at your resources and saying like, okay, you know, some of these things are worth it. Some of the things I do or some of the things I give time to or effort to aren't worth it. And, you know, kind of removing those things would be good. With the Queen of Pentacles, you have the World, which is like an accomplishment or an achievement. Again, also in the Major Arcana, we go from the Fool to the World, then we start all over again as the Fool. So this, whenever I have this, it basically says you're about to have a new beginning here, Gemini, with the World to the, because we're technically we're going from the World in the past to the Fool. And it's like you've completed, you know, a stage of your journey and you're just ready for the next stage. With the Three of Cups, you have the Two of Swords. Third place solutions, Gemini. Literally, the solution is over here, a third place. She's thinking this or that, and she's trying to protect her heart, right? But really, her unique solution is to go over to this island and go across the choppy waters, which you have the Six of Swords there, and to see what the environment is like over here. I always say also, you know, this is absolutely a card of changing your environment. She is in one environment over here. This environment is completely different. You know, Chariot, he is changing his environment. Magician, maybe he is changing his environment. So for a lot of you, it's like, you know, maybe rearranging your office or something like that could be very helpful. With the Eight of Swords, you have the Four of Cups here. The Four of Cups, a lot of people have been getting this. I kind of feel like Four of Cups is a common card during Mercury retrogrades because it kind of is like getting another chance at something. You know, he's tried something like 3 times before at least, and he failed. And now he's being offered an opportunity to try something again, but he's not accepting it into his life because he has failed 3 times before. So the Four of Cups could be about you needing to accept something or like try something again. And again, a couple of people have had it this month, so you know, could be a good time. And maybe that's why you're like not sure with the Eight of Swords if you should do it again, or maybe that's like something you're stuck on is like an opportunity that's like a repeat opportunity, but looks pretty good. With the Two of Wands, you have the Queen of Cups. Queen of Cups is good in the area of your closest relationships because she is very heart-based. She focuses on fulfilling her heart first. And again, I'm pretty sure I've said that to you this year as well, that, you know, it is like a good year, I think, for you to focus on yourself. The more, you know, fulfilled you make yourself, the more fulfilled people you attract, the better. With the Page of Cups, you have the Six of Pentacles. Yeah, like I would take your time in love, especially during a Mercury retrograde. Again, I think it's perfectly fine to date during a retrograde. There's nothing to worry about, right? And, you know, if anything, I think it's better because if a person's going to screw up, they're going to screw up right away. And then you don't have to wait like a year or 6 months to find out that the person is a screw up. You can find out quickly. But the Six of Pentacles says, take your time. Six of Pentacles says, make a small investment. Don't overgive like all spiritual people have a bad habit of doing. Give a little bit. See what happens. If they give back, great. Keep going. If they don't, great. Stop. And go find someone else, right? With the Knight of Swords, you have the Ten of Wands. Ten of Wands, well, number one, he is very close to reaching his goal. He's almost at his home, and he is carrying his harvest. So personally, yeah, the Ten of Wands can be like a burden, can be a lot of work, but it can also say you're very close to getting the result for the work that you've been doing all along here, Gemini. It's also a card of like, like with the Knight of Swords, it would be about needing to speed up. Like, obviously, if the Knight of Swords had 10 wands, he wouldn't be able to move very quickly. So again, Queen of Pentacles is your answer. Look at the things that you give to that don't give back to you. Remove those things, and you'll probably be able to move faster. You have the Seahorse. It says family matters on it. A lot of family stuff coming up in these readings. I think it's a good time for family this year, especially because we have Jupiter going direct on the 10th or the 11th, depending where you are in the world. And Jupiter in Cancer is good for family. So, could be some good things there. You have this kite. It says vacation on it. Yeah, you might need a vacation here, Gemini. I think I just called you Virgo for some reason. That's popping into my head. So hopefully I didn't call you Virgo, Gemini. But what I would say here is that, again, I think a vacation would be good. You have this crown. It says honor and respect will come to you. Yeah, again, air signs have an amazing opportunity to build authority. Again, Pluto and Aquarius. Pluto is power, and, it's in a fellow air sign. So, anything, if you're like trying to build a following, if you're trying to get a leadership position, you're in a great time to do that. You have this fly. It says a period of ill health or depression. Again, in the 2026 readings, I said that everybody should be working on their health this year in some way, like staying healthy, being healthy, all that. It's not really something to worry about, but, I would just stay healthy. You have this carrot. It says opportunity or windfall. Love it. I think you already know what it is with the 8 of Swords and the 4 of Cups. It's like something, it's almost something that you have to get, that you have to match energetically with that magician. But it looks really good, Gemini. So, yeah, the whole reading looks pretty good. I like it. So thank you for being here. Make sure to leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your month.